Hello and welcome to Startup Champions 2.0, the show where you meet National Startup Award winning founders. In the episode today, you will meet two startup champions from the education and skill development sector. They are Square Panda and Luma World. Imagine you go to a grocery store and you get flour or atta dated 2 years old at just 10 rupees. Will you buy it? I'm sure not. I won't as well. Then why are you taking education that has not evolved in the last 40 plus years? The world has changed. Education must evolve too. Otherwise, we are creating a generation that is not ready for the future. The National Education Policy 2020 is a progressive step. It is the right time to prepare the India of tomorrow, both at the school level and the college level. Till when will we otherwise keep complaining that Indians in India are not able to do as much, but in Silicon Valley, they run the largest companies of the world? Our first startup champion today has created a system of aided interactive learning with their games and products. Let's see the Square Panda story.
Square Panda is an edtech company. We work in mainly the government sector. Our goal is to bring outcomes in this education ecosystem. So we do teacher training, we bring interventions for young kids, we do training for the parents, and even the administrators that are taking care of these schools. Our goal is that outcome has to be achieved, and outcome can only be achieved when we look at the full ecosystem as one and not in separate pieces. So we've adopted whatever this infrastructure allows us, right? In some places we are bringing digital education to those teachers because we can reach to them. In some places we have master trainers and trainers that are traveling to the inwards of the country to actually provide the training to these teachers or the principals. Sometimes we're preparing master trainers then to go into tribal areas and do the training in local languages.
We came from US. Ashish has done all his education in New York. We came here because we wanted to do something here, and after coming here, Ashish was like wanted to do some changes in our country, get some impact. Education sector is one of the most important sector where he could actually get some changes in country.
So Ashish, welcome to Startup Champions 2.0.
Thank you.
Let's first begin with the experience of what you build. I do appreciate and understand that you're solving a very, very impactful problem across for Bharat. But how are you doing that? Just tell all of our audience.
Basically, the way we've approached India is because infrastructure being challenged. When you look at tier 2, tier 3 rural areas, you can't just hand over a digital device, right?
Sure.
There has to be a combination of digital and physical. So if you look at what we provide, it's not just a tablet with content for the children or the teachers, etc., but we're actually providing physical paper that they can print and use, right? Because not everywhere are they going to be able to use the tablet.
Sure.
So very quickly, the way we approach India is we look at local languages as well. So if you look at this, basically it's made in Hindi, right? Very specifically for teachers that are in the northern belt, because they're not going to be able to just pick up English day one.
Sure.
Want to make sure that they have Hindi available to them. Now, when it comes to our digital device, obviously we've also customized it to both English, Hindi, and other languages. The one I'm going to demo to you today, I'm going to demo to you in Hindi, but
Sure.
we have other languages that we've actually made. Now, this specific app was made for India because beyond teaching foundations, what happens is we have to ensure that the child is constantly learning the themes that they're supposed to be learning.
Sure.
For the assessments they're going to take in their life. Yeah. So even though we can teach phonics, we do want to make sure they also learn the themes. And this is a demo of themes around birds.
Friends.
So basically it starts off with a very specific greeting.
आइए जाने पक्षियों के नाम. Tap on the button to listen to the text. शब्द सुनने के लिए बटन पर टैप करें.
So if you notice, everything is being said in 2 languages.
Correct.
There's a reason for that. The reason is not only are we giving instructions, we didn't want to take away English because it's important for the child to be immersed in English as well.
Sure.
Right? So even though they're hearing Hindi and they will understand Hindi, what happens is the English instructions are coming along. And if they press the button, it will talk about...
कौवा.
So we're talking about a crow. And now obviously it says kawa because in the north, that's what you call. Now the whole association is happening, right? So this is one of our apps that we've actually developed for India, very specifically thematic based. The other one I want to show you, which is an app that has been working for us globally. Okay, this is an app.
Pan can sit.
This
by
is an
Square
app.
Panda.
Sorry.
Tap here to turn the page.
So this is an app that was developed to teach reading to a child, right? Because one of the things we realize in NEP or Nipun Bharat, etc., they're very specifically talking that our reading skills are lacking.
Tap
Sure.
here
So how do
to
we
turn the
actually do
page.
this? And I'm sorry, but this keeps on reminding us that, listen, you're not
Sure.
doing anything with me. So this is an app that was developed to teach child how to actually read, okay? So it talks about, it first goes through a practice. So each word is being taught to the child. So let's say here we're talking about sit, S-I-T.
Let's practice reading the words in this book. Use the arrow to
So
hear.
if I move the arrow, it's a S-I-T sit, right? And
Sit.
okay.
Nice.
Now this is teaching them what we call blending. Okay. This is how you take letters and blend them together to form words. The reason the foundation is so important here
Let's practice
is
reading the
because
words.
it's important that they learn how to put new words together as
Got
well.
it.
Okay. Now, obviously, we have a recording that actually records the child's voice. They can hear the voice back. And then once they're done, there's an activity that they will play that will assess how
Word
well they've
match.
learned the
Match
lesson.
each
Got it.
picture
Got
to
it.
the correct word.
And then finally, just very quickly, we've
Bookshelf.
actually been able to develop an app specifically for teachers so that they can learn how to teach the child, right? So the one I'm gonna show is a one that's being currently used in one of the government sectors, and it has demo course for administrators. So
Sure.
basically, administrators specifically in the schooling system, what kind of training will they be able to provide to the child? So if you look at this, it has both English and Hindi again. Every single training is again done in multiple languages.
Interesting. So you've sort of covered the entire spectrum, right from the learner, the teacher, and the parent as well, across languages for Bharat, for India. How did Square Panda actually begin? How did the idea really sort of germinate?
So our history is a little bit different, right? So we germinated out of the US in the Valley. Andy Butler, who's our CEO and the founder, basically his daughter is dyslexic.
Okay.
So he was looking for personalized and adaptive solutions for his child. Now, while developing that, what he learned is that those same systems can be used for every type of child because each child is different, right? We all learn at different pace. So why can't the adaptive and the personalization apply to every child?
Sure.
And so today, our system not only looks at it from a child's perspective, but also teacher's perspective, by the way. So our trainings are also adaptive and personalized to the teacher.
Wow.
Right? Because not only child, remember, we have to make sure our foundations are strong.
Right,
The
right.
teacher also has to be trained.
And the entire product that, of course, you've created, how many years of research has led to this product today?
So we're about in our 8th or 9th year of research. The first 2.5 years, we were only doing research. There was nothing that was launched in the market before the research was finished. Today, we have neuroscientists on board. We work with Stanford, we work with UCLA, we work with IITs here, etc., to make sure that we keep on developing new content.
Very interesting. So in India specifically, you've actually customized your entire offering, right?
Yeah.
In the US, you're a product-only company. Here,
Correct.
you're a service or
Yes.
productized service company, right? What have been the key learnings here in India for you?
So the greatest learning, and I think you started the program with that, is the foundation of this country still needs to be built, right?
Sure.
We've spent decades in investing in education. We need to just optimize it. We're not
Right.
saying we need to change it. What we're saying is let's optimize the spend that's being done. And that's what we've changed our model to. Take what is being done. How do you ensure you drive outcomes from it? And that's all we do as a company. We don't say we have a product. We don't walk in saying we have services. What we walk in saying is that, hey, let us help you optimize and drive outcomes.
Interesting. And how did you fund the business on day one? And have you raised any external funding till late?
So we have a lot of external funding. Luckily, we're associated with a very famous tennis player, Andre Agassi. Andre has been invested in education for a very long time. He's our largest investor, chairman of the board. He supported us through the journey because there's a lot of investment that goes in what we do. We continue to also raise external funds, but he still holds the majority stake as far as an investor is concerned.
Phenomenal. My last question to you, Ashish, is look, lakhs of Indians, in fact, millions of them are watching you right now on this very show. What's your message to all of them? They want to be entrepreneurs, they want to be leaders like you. So what's your message to all of them?
Well, I think my biggest learning, because I know I moved from the US here, there's no easy route, right? It took us 2.5 years to just crack the government sector, right? 2.5 years of every single day traveling, meeting, understanding. So if you look at how much we put, right, on average, between me and a few of my team members, we travel 300, 400 flights a year.
Wow.
Okay, that's, if you just start calculating, that's a flight almost daily or every other day. Okay, but that's what it takes to actually crack into India, right? But that's the hard work that needs to be put in. There's no easy way out, right? And you learn that as an entrepreneur very quickly.
Absolutely. So Ashish, thank you very much for all of your answers. The top 2 lessons for this session are: number 1, the education industry has incredible opportunities to innovate and create a system that is relevant for the next generation. It depends upon you what product or service you end up creating. And number 2, governments at the center and the state at district levels as well are realizing the relevance of new education systems. This is your big opportunity. This is exactly what Ashish and his entire team leveraged upon. Welcome back to Startup Champions 2.0. It's time for the audience's question. Are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
The audience, they ask some very, very tough questions. Let's see how you face them. So, time for the first question. Please come on screen and ask your question.
My question is for Square Panda. Who exactly are your customer? Government or private schools?
So, Parita, it's a beautiful question. I'm glad they asked, because our customer is the government, right? 90+% of the kids in the Indian education system are either directly supported or they're in government-aided schools.
Wow.
So that's what we want to go after. I mean, it's about making an impact, right?
Sure.
And that you go after the 90%.
Of course, I mean, just going after the top 10% wouldn't really make a lot of
dent.
difference.
Yes, for us at least.
Very interesting. And you work with all the governments and in the states, in the center, and at district level, or
at every level, right? Central, you talk about either tribal or minorities. If you look at state level, then you're talking about primary education or secondary education. At district level even, some of the collectors, some of the district education officers are interested in running newer programs. So we work with them directly as well.
Wow. And reaching out to all of these people across in so many states and so many places, how difficult or challenging a task that is for you?
Well, in the government, it is challenging, right? It is all about physically being present.
Sure.
So yes, right now we cover 6 or 7 states pretty deeply. We're looking to expand another 6 or 7 states this year. So half the country in a year or two, it's pretty large for us.
It's pretty large, I'm sure. Learning leads to earning. Let's continue our journey of learning with step number 18 of how to start a startup. This step is establish the CEO's office. You've already taken 17 steps of how to start a startup. It's now time to ensure that you grow your team and create a CEO's office or a problem-solving team with you. What did you learn from today's episode? Share with us. Share your feedback. Make your videos and post them on social media with #StartupChampions2.